The Balls and Strikes podcast is brought to you by Elkhorn Training Camp. Let's have some fun and play ball.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mike Alessandro. Welcome to the Balls and Strike podcast. I'm the co-founder and managing director of the Elkhorn Training Camp, where we've had the opportunity over the past 6 years to train thousands of baseball athletes. And that's what we're here today to do, is to continue to promote the game of baseball. We like to reach out to the coaches and folks in the community that are dedicated to promoting the wonderful game of baseball in Nebraska. And today we're excited to announce our podcast guest being Pascal Paul. He's the Nebraska Scouting Director from the Prep Baseball Report. And we have an exciting announcement today, in that we're going to announce Prep Baseball Report's preseason top 5 in Nebraska State Baseball for Class B. Welcome, Pascal. Thanks for joining the podcast today. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me on.
Excellent. Well, I know it's 30 degrees out. The wind will knock you over, but we are launching high school baseball with the games starting this week. Hopefully, weather permitting, we'll be able to get the games in. And obviously, last year, the defending state champion in Class B this year is Elkhorn North. And we're excited to announce to our listeners today, your preseason top 5. We're going to discuss some of the top 5 players. And Prep Baseball Report just does such a fantastic job of promoting baseball. So thank you in the community, hosting events, seeing all the top players. And Nebraska baseball is on the upswing for sure. Just some fantastic coaches, fantastic programs, great kids, and just tremendous support from the entire community. So we'll just dive right in. Obviously, Elkhorn North is the defending state champ. They got a few pretty good pitchers on their team, right? Coming back this year.
Absolutely loaded. Yeah, their team is loaded on the mound. Obviously, we can start with Ryan Harrihill. He's ranked the second best player in the 2023 class for us right now. Absolute perfect figure you'd want to build a pitcher in. Big, tall, right-handed pitcher, strong, pitches his fastball to both sides of the plate, throws a really good hard slider, and durable. I think he pitched at least two games in the state tournament last year, maybe more. And I know when I saw him his last outing, he threw one of his hardest pitches at 93. He was pretty much 90, 92 the whole game. In his last inning, he had a couple 93s in there. So for me, that says it all.
How about the catch that he made to win the state championship, right? Over the rail.
Over the rail, yeah. Athlete. Outside of him, though, Colin Nowacek going to Creighton can pitch the crap out of the ball. Unbelievable changeup, Bugs Bunny changeup. Has a good curveball, pitches with 3 pitches in the zone. Perfect complement to the power right-hander that Ryan Harrihill is. I wouldn't say that Nowacek is a soft lefty, but he's obviously not running the ball up to 93. He's in the upper 80s and throwing that changeup and curveball whenever he wants. Then they go number 3 is right now our number 2 ranked 2025, and Sam Huff, who's a big, tall, left-handed pitcher, has a good breaking ball. He has a little bit of maturing to do, but the ceiling is the absolute limit for that kid. I'm really excited to see what he does this spring.
For sure. All right, let's dive in. We're going to do your preseason top 5. Exciting announcement for everyone in the baseball community. Let's start with team number 5.
Team number 5 is the Bennington Badgers. They're not going to have a lot of high-end guys going to big-name schools, but they're going to have a lot of guys that are going to make up a good high school baseball team. A couple of them that I expect to lead this team are Owen Douglas and Ethan Wynn. 2 guys that have played a lot of innings for them, have gotten a lot of ABs. Owen Douglas has been on the mound for them. 2 guys that I expect to lead and get this team to where I think it should be, which is in that top 5 in Class B.
Solid catcher as well that you're familiar with, Cooper Monerick, is that right?
Yes, he's been to quite a bit of our events. I've seen him play a lot. Very solid behind the dish, and that's what you want in a high school catcher. He's going to catch, he's going to throw, he's going to give you enough at the plate. There's not much more you can ask for out of Cooper. He's a good kid, good athlete, and I expect him to be right there with Owen and Ethan and in that leadership role for that team.
Let's face it, a lot of athletes in Bennington. You're talking about a school that won back-to-back state championships in football as well.
Right. They're going to have a lot of depth, maybe not as well known as some of the other schools,
sure,
but they're definitely going to have a lot of athletes. Now, whether they can put that together on the baseball field and get some W's is yet to be seen, but I think they have, a very high ceiling down there for the Badgers.
Team number 4.
Team number 4 is Beatrice. Beatrice is going to be headlined by Tucker Timmerman.
Sure.
He's their frontline starter. He's a right-hand pitcher. He's going to Nebraska. He'll run the ball up to 92 at times. Kind of a little bit of a funky delivery, a little bit of a lower slot. I really like him. As a former pitching coach, I think that stuff wins. I think, if you have the tall, smooth right-handed pitcher and a whole staff of them, it doesn't exactly equate to wins. If you have
no doubt
a whole staff of Ryan Harrahill's the big, tall, smooth, strong pitcher that throws 92. Sometimes you need the Tucker Timmerman that's kind of lower, funky out of the hand. He's gonna dominate most teams that he plays. I expect they're, again, one of the better teams in the state in Class B. I believe they won the state championship 2 years ago. So an incredibly hard playing team, a team that you're going to have to beat and put out. So
absolutely. Team number 3.
Team number 3 is Scott Catholic. A lot of talent. Another school that is very good in multiple sports. Joe Conley is going to be the leader of that team. He's going to Iowa. Okay. He's a shortstop, really athletic, has been to a couple of our pro cases, has shown really, really well. I enjoy being around him. He's a fun kid to be around. Always seems to be smiling, always seems to be having a good time, which I like on the baseball field, and I think that translates to his teammates. They also have some under the radar, I would say, kids, especially in that senior class, in Jack Gruey, who's one of the kids that I think can take a big leap this year. As far as development, I think he missed a little bit of time last year, especially early in the season, which I think hurt his overall recruiting. But I think this year, I know he's committed now, so I think he'll be able to was able to develop over the winter. And now I think it's going to be a good season for him.
Excellent.
And I don't want to forget to mention Jace Ziola, a 2025, recently committed to Nebraska. Long, strong, extremely hardworking kid. Fastball's up in the high 80s, low 90s potential. Has some development to do, as a young kid in one of the top programs in the state. But I think he's going to come in and give them some real quality innings as the season goes on.
Excellent. Well, thank you for the recap there. Preseason number 3, Scott Catholic. Let's go to, who do you have in the rankings for number 2?
Number 2 is the Norris Titans, one of the best programs in the state in Class B.
Perennial power for sure.
I would say them, and we would agree, a little bit of disappointment year last year with the finish. I would say they were probably the number 1 team coming in. Got bounced a little bit early, but this year's a new year. They're as talented as ever with, Cale Fountain leading the way. He's probably as talented of a prospect as we'll get in Nebraska for a while. Big, strong, tall third baseman, moves well, fields it, hits the ball a country mile, and does it often. I would recommend anybody in Nebraska, if you got an afternoon free, to go watch him step in the box and hit a little bit. He's fun to watch.
I've had the opportunity to meet him in Elkhorn Training Camp. Great kid, great family, just an absolute grinder. And yeah, LSU is getting something special there.
And he's a fun kid to be around. Yeah, he's been at a couple of our events, and always a smile on his face. Yeah. Loves to be around the game. So, again, just a great kid and a great program to be in.
Might not want to forget his brother either. He's pretty good.
Oh, yeah. The genes run in the family. He's going to be a good one, too, whether he plays this year on varsity or in the years to come. He's already committed to Nebraska. So that family is something in the water that they're drinking, I guess.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Very hardworking, just absolute grinders.
Yeah, outside of Cale, though, Kaiser Pappenhagen is another kid on their team that looks to, assume that leadership role and help get some W's on the board for them on the mound and defensively. But a lot of expectations for Norris this year, but I think they're welcomed, and I don't think they shy away from them. So
for sure. All right, let's transition to your preseason number 1. Probably not a surprise to anyone.
No, I wouldn't think so. Elkhorn North.
Is anyone going to be able to score any runs on these guys?
Man,
what a pitching staff.
What a staff. If you're going to score, either going to have to get to them early before they get settled in, or late when they get tired. They're going to dominate, especially in the Class B class with those arms. They might have some trouble scoring runs at times with some of the better arms in Class B. They did lose a couple guys. But overall, this is the best team in the state. We talked about them in the early part of this segment, and if you're going to beat them, you're going to have to go beat those arms. So to anybody, good luck.
And the culture that Coach Dunn has built at Elkhorn North has been impressive.
Oh, they're fun to watch. There's a lot of energy coming out of that dugout every time. They do a bunch of stuff on social media, which is fun. And I like they kind of keep to themselves during the season, and they keep it tight-knit, and they do stuff together, which I'm always a fan of. As a former coach at iWestern, that's kind of how we won our games, so I can see that and being a big deal in that program for sure.
Yeah. Fantastic recap for Nebraska Class B baseball. It's going to be an exciting year. Obviously, hopefully the games do all commence this Thursday. And it's exciting that the state baseball championship this year has a new format. So in Class B, we'll also have 2 brackets of 4 with a guaranteed state championship game on that Friday, May 19th.
For sure. I can't wait for that new format. It'll be great to see these teams and go. Hopefully, some of those teams in the top 5 can give North a run for their money.
Well, thanks again, Pascal, for doing what you do for Nebraska Prep Baseball Report and promoting the game of baseball in the state of Nebraska.
Thanks for having me on.